Um, if you can hear me, just write something like yeah, or give me a thumbs up in the comment section. Okay, so yeah, so I think I've waited long enough, and I want to start. I mean, if anybody joins us later, that's okay. I noticed some people were online, and then it looks like they are gone because the time was 3 o'clock here EDT, and it's now 3:12. I was actually waiting for people to join before I actually start. That's why. So first of all, welcome everybody. Welcome back to our channel. This is your girl once again, Ajoen Siriwa, and I decided to make this video live so that we will be able to talk about a lot of things that is bothering people also, because I get a lot of DMs like questions. Ajua, what do I do, what do I do, and all, like so much questions that sometimes I wish I shared them online, and then everybody will get access to the answers and everything. Yeah. So we are first of all going to start with the decision taking. I mean, where to start from when you really want to apply for a university or for further studies out here. So I know a lot of people are having challenges with where to apply to, and I'm talking about the countries, um, what program to apply for, and like a whole lot. So I decided to make a little research about some countries, actually the three main countries that this channel is focusing on, that is US, Canada, and UK, to give out the benefits or the opportunities that you're going to get when you actually go into any of these countries to do your studies and all. So the first and foremost I want to talk about is the opportunity, like I said, that you are going to get. I know a lot of people just don't want to go out and come back to our countries. A lot more want to go get something to do after school and then probably think of returning, or some want to remain forever. I mean, you definitely go back home, but yeah, it's not going to be like I'm going back home to stay. Yeah. So these three countries have options for such things after graduation. When you are able to go to these three countries to do your studies, and then you are done, they have certain packages for each individual. Let me put it like that. So the first country I want to look at is US. So the US actually has what they call optional practical work, OPW. And this optional practical work is actually a permit that is being given to graduates, international graduates in the US, to work. What are some of the criteria? I want to touch on a few of them. I mean, probably just one or two. So with them, if you are within the STEM, when I talk about STEM, I'm talking about science, technology, engineering, and mathematics and co. So if you are within the STEM, you get the opportunity to work for a maximum of 3 years. But if you are within the humanities and the other this field outside STEM, you only get 1 year. That is the criteria. So within STEM, you get 3 years. Without STEM, 1 year. Now, I know people may be wondering, okay, can I just go and then maybe do history or do French or do anything and then get the opportunity to work in the science field or something? Or because maybe you have experience from your home country in different fields, because back home some of us did programs that we were not working with them in those, weren't working in those fields. It's so normal everywhere. Yeah. But when you go to the US, there are some restrictions. There are some restrictions on these things. You actually have to get a work in the field that you did study. That is one major restriction that you have to look into. So you cannot go and do history, and probably because you have the chance to do banking and finance in Ghana, and then after work you're going to look for work. Of course the employer is going to give you the work if you are able to, let them know that indeed you can do the work. But is the school, is the immigration people going to accept? That is the question you should ask yourself. And from what I know, and from what I ask people, what they told me was that it is not allowed. Actually, I had a friend who had a similar issue like that after school, got a job outside his field, and they didn't allow him. That job was going to pay him so well, but he wasn't allowed to do that work. Yeah. So that is just by the way for the US. Now when you move to Canada, Canada also has similar thing called PGWP, which is postgraduate work permit. And this postgraduate work permit, the guidelines or the restrictions to that is also this way. If you school in Canada for 1 year, you get the opportunity to work for 1 year. They just give you 1 year. But if you school in Canada for 2 years or more, you get the opportunity to work for 3 years. So bear it in mind. If you want to look for school, think about this. Then if you really want to be in a 1 year program, or you really want to be in a 2 year program, one thing that I have noticed being in Canada is that some people come with a 1 year visa, and then after their first program, they get another 1 year program, probably in a similar field or in a relevant field to what they did. Or maybe they just want to dive in. Maybe the program they brought was just something they just wanted to come to Canada with. And so they want to do exactly what they really want to do. So they do that, and then when they are done, it is assumed that you've schooled in Canada for 2 years. So you then put your document together, 1 year, 1 year, making 2 years, and then apply, get opportunity to work for 3 years. So within these 3 years, usually what happens in Canada is that employers do issue employment letters and documents for every document you are supposed to get from your employer to help you apply for your permanent residency. That is what they actually do here. So in this setting, in this part of this thing, what I would say is that usually it's a bit easy. I wouldn't want to use like easy at all. It's a bit easy to get work, and then also to get your document and apply for your permanent residency, which is majority of the immigrants or the international students in Canada's goal. Not only in Canada, US and UK as well. However, on in the US, it is not like that. You get the chance to work, and then it is believed that if you're able to secure a work within the 90 days you stay, you get H1B. That is another form of visa. You transition from being an international student to that visa. So bear that also in mind. And again, in Canada, they do not restrict you so much with the kind of job you're supposed to get, whether it is within the field you did or something. There's no restriction like that, because what I have heard from the conversation I've had with immigration consultants, I'm actually not an immigration consultant, yeah, but I've had a couple of conversations from with immigration consultants, and they say that you just have to get a work that gives you the opportunity to work for 36 hours in a week, and then you pay for your tax, and then you make sure that you did not violate any of the immigration rules. Some people unknowingly violate the rules. Yes, sometimes when you come, some people defer their program, and then they begin to work with their SIN number. The SIN is the social insurance number, like what we have in Ghana as TIN. So at the end of the day, you violated the rules. So if you want to go for the documents, yeah, they are going to, penalize you for that. Now let me move to the UK. So the UK also has a similar program, and that program is called post-study work, post-study PSW, post-study work. And this PSW also gives you the chance to work after school. Actually, there's been some slight changes with the PSW. So if you really want to consider UK, not only UK, anywhere you want to consider, try and read around it after giving you this information. At least now you know that if I'm going to US after school, I'm going to get optional OP, it's optional OPW, sorry. And then in Canada I'm going to get PGWP, and then in UK I'm going to get PSW. So you can read around it, because the immigration documents keep on changing, like day in and day out. Like recently UK has banned, people, students, from coming with their families and other things. Yeah, so they are still making changes to their immigration staffs. Now, this same program also gives you the chance to work in the UK for a number of hours within the number of years, and the maximum year is 2 years. Currently the maximum is 2 years, but they also have other programs like skilled workers, similar to Canada also had a skilled worker route. Yeah, but within the skilled worker route you still have to get your PGWP. But in the UK, what I noticed was that you can choose to get the graduate study permit or the skilled worker permit. So you have two options to choose from. Now, let me quickly move on to the program itself. I know people have challenges with what program to choose. Like, can I divert from what I did for my undergraduate? Can I do anything? Yes, you can. But in any case, I advise people to also consider the visa officer, because when I was about to apply for my visa, one of the most important thing that I remember so well that I will never forget was that a friend of mine told me, Ajua, whatever you put out on your introduction letter, consider the visa officer as you are probably doing it. Now the question is, let's say you did education, let's say biology education, and then you come to me and you tell me that you want to do French. Why French? What is the correlation between these two courses? Why do you want to move from biology education to French? You understand the relationship? You need to prove. So if you're able to prove to them that, okay, this is me, Adjoan Tiwa. I did French education for my undergraduate studies, but I've had the opportunity to work in the media field, and I have had a keen interest in media and filmmaking or whatever, and so I want to go and pursue that. That is allowed. That is understandable. Anybody who picks your document will understand that at least you find yourself in the field, and then you want to go and read because you have less knowledge in that. But if you are not able to convince the visa officer of why you want to divert, please, I will urge you to apply for programs within the field that you already have knowledge and you can prove your knowledge in. When I talk about proving, I'm talking about showing your certificate, showing evidence that yes, I have knowledge in this, I have read this. Yes, so I would urge you to do that. Now, let's quickly move on to, so with that being said, anytime you want to apply for a program, you also have to look at the requirements. My recent video gave out the step-by-step guidelines of how to apply to a university in Ghana, and like I said in that video, you can apply that technique to any other university that you get based on what I went through when I was doing my application. I was doing an application for US schools in Canada. It was almost similar. Yes, so you can apply that there also. So you first also have to consider after considering the visa officer in choosing your program, you should consider the Sorry for my this, yeah. So you should consider whether the program is lucrative. If you don't want to come to, study and move back right after you are done studying, consider whether you're going to get work after your studies, because some programs will not, help you. It won't. Some program, I'm not saying it won't as in it won't, but like after school you would have to struggle a little bit before you be able to secure a job. So you should also consider that as well. Not every program can land you a job in Canada, like I tell people always. And also be mindful of programs that requires license before you can operate, because per what I have been hearing, especially in Canada, I cannot talk much about US and UK, but in Canada, sometimes getting the license becomes so difficult. You qualify, but who knows what happens in there. It takes like a year to get your license. So assuming you have your work permit but you do not have your license to operate for 1 whole year, you've wasted so much time and money. So consider that as well. Yes, I did consider that. That's why I've diverted. Okay, so let's also move on to the consideration of the exact school, whether you want to be in the university or you want to be in the colleges. I think for a while now, that video was actually deleted. I'm sorry. Yeah, I did a video which I was trying to edit, and then unfortunately, the application that I was editing on got deleted, uninstalled, and I lost all the videos. There were 2 videos. So I spoke about the colleges, the importance of being in a college, and the importance of being in the university. There are quite some slight difference in these schools. Yes, the colleges actually offer programs for diploma, certificate, HND or advanced diploma, and then bachelor's degree. The bachelor's degree, actually they do it in consultation, like with an affiliated university. So in Canada here, specifically, you have to be, affiliated to a university before you can run a bachelor's degree program. So my school, for instance, is affiliated to University of Guelph. So they have that section as uh, University of Guelph Humber, because my school is Humber College. So University of Guelph Humber. So that college offer the first degree programs. So you should consider that. And I know a lot of people are not aware that when you have a first degree, you don't necessarily have to go and do a master's degree. I know people do not know that you can do a diploma program or a certificate program, still write, get your visa, and come and do it. You qualify for it. They call them graduate certificate or graduate diploma. Even some universities do run those programs. The notion behind those programs was that some people, some way, somehow, do certain programs for the undergraduate studies. Me do what I love to do. Yes, back home, most parents do dictate for us. Kwame, go and read nursing. It is nursing that you have to read. Yes, some people, I personally almost fell as a victim to that, but I stood on my grounds. Yes, my father wanted me to read nursing, and I told him that, hey, I can't do that. Although sometimes I wish I did it though, but it's okay. Yeah, because I'm also happy where I am. So some people are not able to stand up for themselves like I did. So at the end of the day, they tend to do programs that they do not want to do. They don't have any, compassion or nothing for it, not a passion for it. So at the end of the day, they now find themselves here, and they feel, okay, I have my freedom, I'm a grown up now, and I want to do what I want to do. So those programs are there for such people. And then the university level, they also offer programs up to PhD. So that is the difference. The colleges, their program offers is up to graduate certificate. That's the highest. And then the university is up to PhD. So you should consider all these before you apply to any of the schools. Now, let me also move on to applying for a university. What are some of the things that you actually have to look out for? First of all, you should consider the admission requirements. And when I talk about admission requirements, I'm talking about statement of purpose or statement of intent or motivation letter. They are all one thing, depending on what has to go into it. Yes, and what the school wants. So usually what the schools do is that they give out guidelines of how they want you to write those things. They will write them down like, we want to see this, we want to see this, like our previous video, sorry, Concordia University gave out, emphasized on the things they need, talk about your background, what has led you to this, and why you're even choosing Concordia. So most schools give out guidelines on how to write it. You just have to go on the internet and then search for samples so you can be able to write a good motivational or statement of purpose or intent. And the second part is your reference letter. Yes, I know getting a reference letter in Ghana in some schools is so difficult. Yes, I know, I don't want to mention schools, but I know people who actually wanted reference letters, apply for schools, and unfortunately their referees didn't submit their document, and so they didn't get it. Now in the US and Canada here, usually they request for the information, the contact details of the referee. That is the name, the institutional email, and probably phone number, and the relationship with you and that person. He was my lecturer, he was my thesis supervisor, he was my this, and all those. So you just have to get, and their titles. Some school require for the title, so you also have to know if the person is a professor, address that person as a professor, and then you put them in your application, and then they will email the people, your referees, email them the necessary document they need from them to fill. So some in the UK, on the other hand, I know that they usually ask for you to do an upload of the copy. I have, okay, so the few people I've spoken with who have done application to the UK all told me that they did yes like that. So if I hear of anything that deviates from that, I will let you guys know. So that is how things are actually going on with it. Now so you first have to go and talk to your professors. That is the little advice I can give to everyone. You go and talk to your professors, that prof or doc, this is what I want to do, and so if I would like you to be my referee. And another advice I was telling a friend yesterday was that go in person sometimes, because sometimes, especially if you've been out of school for about a year, 2 years, 3 years, trust me, it's not going to be easy for the professors to remember everybody. Look at the number of people they are teaching. You understand? So when you go there, sometimes they look at your face and they say, oh, okay, this is the person, and then they know what to actually write for you. Because sometimes when they don't know you, they can write anything. A friend of mine was getting a reference letter from a professor in UCC. Yeah, I would mention, but I won't mention the college. And unfortunately, we don't know whether the person copied a different reference letter or something. The professor ended up addressing him as she, whilst it was a he. So the school declined the application and told him that the reference letter that came was addressed to a female, so they assumed it wasn't meant for him. You understand? So that is the whole thing. So try and go there, and then you talk to them, you let them know when the people whenever they send the document to them, you are going to get a mail on that. Yes, from what I did and from what I experienced, you get a mail on that, and then you just quickly call them and say, hey prof, my school has sent you a mail, could you please do this? You understand? Personally, at some point I would go to their office and guide them. It's not like I'm guiding them like write this, write that, but I just wanted to make sure they do it for me. Yes, and I never encountered anything like, oh, they didn't do it or something. Yes. So another point you have to also look out for is the standardized test. So some programs have certain tests and test scores that they require, especially if you're within the sciences, the STEM, the business and other things. I think some of them require for GMAT, GRE. So you should also read on those things and make sure your program requires for those things. Sometimes they waive them for certain countries, so read on them at the programs or department website, and then you get to know whether you have to apply for it or not. And another thing is also a write-up or a writing sample. So this is actually something like an article or project work, depending. I remember some of the schools that I applied to, they would emphatically ask you to submit your project work. Some of them would also give you like write a one page write something sample write up, yeah, on a topic that you feel. So your project work is about 60-50 pages or something. You can't put that in, so you have to write something like an article on a topic and present nicely. So you should also read about them when you are looking into all those things. Now, another point you have to also look at is the program cut-off GPA. The program cut-off GPA, that is, certain programs have certain GPAs that they actually require. Sometimes it's so how do I even put this? Sometimes in the department, probably a department offers like 3-5 programs, and then they will say our cutoff this one is 3.0, which is a B. But you click on a particular program, and that particular program has a cutoff point as a B plus, which is 3.5. So if you want to look at the general one they gave, I think, to my understanding, they're not going to take you. So make sure you read every bit of thing that you have to read on the website, on the program's website page, before you start with the application. I know people may be wondering why I'm talking about all these plenty. Yes, I am talking about them because in your application you would have to pay application fee. And converting cedis to dollar or other currencies to dollar or pounds is expensive. You understand? I know some UK schools do not accept anything, but it also comes with, usually the schools that waives the application also comes with another extra package that sometimes it becomes so hard to get it off your neck. Yeah. So another point is the funding, which I know most of you are waiting to hear. The funding. Now, with the funding, there are numerous ways of receiving fundings or getting fundings in the school. Usually when you are applying for graduate programs like masters and PhD, they usually have funding packages for you in most of these countries, especially US. I always say that if you really want to be considered for funding, look into US because they have a lot of funding packages there. Canada also has, but Canada's immigration system is a bit loose for you to be able to work and get your money. So like recently they waived the 20-hour thing. They said now you can work for 40 hours or any number of hours you want. So if you come and the government doesn't give you funding, I mean, that is so normal. Work and get your money. Yes, I mean, that is just by the way. So now the funding package, as I'm talking about, how do you get a funding package with a school? Take this from, you can take a pen and a paper and write this. First, you can go through the school's website or the the program's website or page. Get to know the faculty. The faculty, that's the members of the faculty, the people who teach in the faculty. Read about them. Read about their specification, their specializations. You understand? And then if any of them's specializations aligns with yours, if any of their decision aligns with what you want to do, email them, write a mail. Hey, this is Adrian Tiwa from Ghana, West Africa. I did French in this, I had this GPA, I had the opportunity to do this, do that, and I want to pursue my master's degree in your institution. And then reading about your profile or portfolio or credentials, I am fascinated by them and I would want you to be my supervisor. Yes, usually this happens with thesis programs. Thesis programs, some of them require that you get a thesis supervisor, some of them don't. But trust me, even if they do not require, email them. They then email you back and tell you that, okay, I have a slot here, I have this, I can take people, I have that. Then some of them will move ahead. You kind of establish that, familiarity with them. You understand? So after establishing your familiarity with them, you ask them about the funding packages in the department, and they will tell you, trust me, the whites, they are not, all that. It's like they don't really clean things like the way some blacks do. They will tell you, they will actually open up and tell you, there's this package here, try and write to it, I have a package, I this, because most of the professors do have packages for their research work. So when they take you as a teaching assistant, you are assisting him to teach, or research assistant, you are assisting them with their research work, and those things comes with funding packages. So emailing a professor, emailing a graduate chair or graduate coordinator, emailing international student office, these three things should be done, and these three things should be done prior to your application. That is the more reason why I decided to make this video today, because I know a lot of people will be preparing to apply for school for next year September, which they are going to open the application somewhere in September and October. So you do not have to sit and wait till then. This is the time you have to prepare and write to the professors, the graduate chairs. Tell them you want to apply for their to their program for 2024 September, but you want to know the packages they have, how best they can help you, what are the things you need to know before, and they are willing to give you every bit of information that you need. Yes, they'll be willing to provide everything you need. Some of them will even go the extra mile by calling you. Yes, people experience that, and I know some of their professors call them via phone and other things just to tell them about the things they have to know. So do that. These three people should be a key in your application preparation. Then when you get a go ahead, you start preparing for your document as well. Another point you can also look into for getting to get funding is to explore the school's program and departments. Sometimes they have scholarship or funding packages there. So they will just write like something scholarship, something. So you can also, sometimes when you email the professors, they also have so much workload, so it's not all the time that they'll be able to attend to you. So sometimes you can also go to the school's website, the departmental website, the international graduate office website. Do not forget. And then when there are their funding filters, you just go through and see if there are packages there for you, and you can just start applying to them. Now I would want to consider something. I mean, is it considering? This is just a piece of advice for everybody. Let me just go like that. It is good to prepare adequately before you embark on this journey, because one thing that I have learned from 2019 that I started my school's application was that when you want to do it in a haste, if you wait and then when they open the application you just quickly put your things together and apply, you usually make mistakes. Applying to a school for graduate studies or for any level is not something you can just get up one day and say, I'm doing it. You would have to get in touch with people. You'd have to get people to review your SOPs and other things for you. Yeah, everybody writes good English, but sometimes it's just an oversight. You can make typographical errors that can cost you. So you have to prepare well, and then you put in your application, and then hopefully a good news will come out of it. Yes. So we are going to end today's lesson here. And I'm going to respond to some of the questions. If you have any question, you can just post it in the live chat, and I'm going to. So someone says, okay, Mary, good girl. Okay, yeah. Someone wants to say, what about engineering program? Yes, engineering programs are, I would say, they are also hotcake programs in Canada here. I cannot talk much about other countries, but in Canada, they are hotcake programs. And so, to me, an engineering field has a lot of, the sciences actually, they have a lot of funding packages. They don't take a lot of people. They do not admit a lot of people. That is one thing that I have come to notice. So, and then the GPA should also be good. So if you know you have a good GPA, you can just log on to any of the sites, the school sites, and then search for their programs and then see what you want to do. Engineering is broad, yes. So whatever specialization you want to go into, then you go into it. And yeah, just remember to apply whatever I've said today. And I hope, if there's anything to, you can just DM me. Yeah, you can write it in the comment section also, and I would respond to it. Yeah, I hope I've answered your question. If anybody has any question, anything that anybody wants to know, I'm ready to respond to them now. We still have some few minutes to go. Yeah, I have to go to work. Yeah, so if there's anything, I'm ready to respond. Yes, there's one thing I wanted to include. I think I almost forgot, is to, I know some people have good grades, I mean GPAs and other things, but you know even though you may be having like a 3.7, 3.6, somebody may be having 4.0, somebody may be having 3.9. And let's assume if a school wants to take about 4 people or 5 people, and then they get 2 4.0s, 3 4.8, 1 4 point, you may have a first class, but they may not take you. So at some point in my search for schools, even though I never really had a school that rejected me except one school, Purdue, but what I did was that Purdue was actually a very high school. Yeah. What I did was that I always look at the schools ranking. So when I pick schools in US, sometimes I pick a state. Universities in, let's say, Indiana, then the ranking will come, and then I'll start from the bottom, because that is a tip that somebody gave me, that it's much easier to get into those schools and to get fundings. And the same thing in Canada, you start from the bottom, because if you go to U of T, University of Toronto, that's Canada's first university, and everybody wants to get to University of Toronto. So if your CGPA is 3.7, trust me, you may not get into it. You may not get into it. So you start from the bottom, and then you look into it. Definitely going to get your program in one of those, and then you just prepare and apply. So that is just a little advice for you. I know some of us are really, really willing to be in good schools, but it's not all the time that you have to, consider those things. Yes. And some of us just want to get the hell out of Ghana. Yes. So if you want to get the hell out of Ghana, and you want to just do anything, just do anything. Yeah, that is it. So there's a question here, say, what do I do if I do not meet the cutoff point? Yes, if you do not meet the cutoff point for your program, I would say that you should try and deviate a little bit from your field, I mean what you really want to do. And if you're still, let's say your CGPA is really low, you can look into the graduate certificate programs, because usually the colleges do accept low CGPA, except some few colleges that are so high. Yes, they most of them accept low GPAs, because it is assumed that the program you're coming to do is a new field that they're going to start from the scratch with you. Yes, so you apply for it, and they want their money. They usually don't give fundings, and then they don't, also entertain pay part and all. Yeah, most of them, they want their money, so they would give you, and then you give them the money. And mind you, when you want to apply to a college or even a university, and you are the type who cannot pay for a full tuition for a year or a semester, try and search on Google what is the tuition deposit for this school before you take a decision on that. Please, this is an appeal I'm making to everybody, because you, at the end of the day, apply to a school, pay for the tuition deposit, the application fee, and then they will ask you to pay for a one sem deposit, a semester deposit, which is more than 10,000, or probably getting close to $10,000. And that money in Ghana is currently about 80 something thousand cedis. And US, their school fees is very, very expensive. Yes, when you compare these three countries, it's Canada that has a low tuition fee. US tuition fee is so expensive. And I think that is the reason why they have a lot of funding packages as well, because their tuition fee is really, really expensive for international students. So if they ask you for this money and you cannot pay, it means that your application fee is gone. And that money could have done something for you in Ghana. It could have rented for you for more than a month. So please look into all those things. Get to know the tuition deposit. Some of them will require that you pay $500, $250. My school, I paid $250 before I came. Some of them will ask you to pay for 2,000, 1,000, 1,500. Some of them will also ask you to pay for a full semester fee. Yes, a full semester fee. A school like Seneca College, I had admission. They requested that I pay for a full semester fee, and it was that bad for me at that time, so I couldn't go. So you can look into those things as well. If you have any question, kindly let me know, and then I will answer them. But if you don't have any question, then I think we would end our section here. But I just want to make this announcement quick. I will be doing much more live videos. Yeah, I'll be streaming live most of the time than doing the normal videos and uploads, because I don't know what's happened to me with my 2 videos that I was editing, and I kind of lost them. Actually broke my heart, and that was why I wasn't uploading. It took the intervention of people to get to me and say, oh, we need info, we went to your channel and there's nothing there, before I was able to come up again. But I think making a live video, there wouldn't be any need for editing and other things. So yeah, maybe that is going to be our next lesson, and I'll try my possible best to do a lot of videos to touch on a lot of points. And also I shared a post, 2 posts about scholarship opportunity. One was about scholarship opportunity, and then one was about application waiver. I noticed a lot of people didn't watch that, so kindly subscribe to my channel, and then hit on the notification bell, so that anytime I upload something, you will get to know, and then you watch. Because if I hear of any scholarship opportunity, I'll just take a shot and then put it there. Yes, so what does the next application window when does the next application window opens? Okay, so the US, Canada, and I cannot talk much about UK. I'm actually telling you this because I want to be frank with people. I don't want to lie to people. When I have less knowledge in something, I'll say I cannot talk much about it. They do have three entries. Three entries. The first and the main entry is September entry, which is the fall. And then the second one is winter. And then the last one is summer or spring. So periodically, like every year, I think people just go into school like three consecutive lesson, if whichever entry you want to take. Yes. So but the main one that we usually advise people to apply, because usually that's where the funding packages are. If you really really want to be considered for funding, try and apply for September entry. Yes. But if you some schools do have few packages, funding packages for January entry, and then winter. Usually winter is for workers and other this, yeah. But you can still go into it. Yes. So whichever one you want to, whether you want to apply for September, January or May. Currently, January entries are open for most schools, although some schools have closed their admissions and others are yet to open as well. Yes, some of the schools they open the whole thing within October, November, December, and then they start filling up their slots and close as the year goes. Yes. So I hope I've been able to answer your question for you. So with that being said, I don't want to waste any much time. So thank you all for joining us, and I hope you learned something. If you have any question, don't hesitate to DM me or write it in any of my videos comment section, and I'll respond to it. Thank you for joining. Thank you. Bye bye. Please subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell, and share our videos for us. Share our flyers, please, and please again. Let it reach everybody. Yes, people really really want information to be able to embark on this journey. So let it reach everybody. Thank you. Bye bye.